Well, welcome everyone back to the Run for Oak Hills podcast. My name is Cade Chumslin, and today I'm joined by Ryan Polzin, head golf professional at Oak Hills Country Club, the site of the GCAA Summer Series Championship. Ryan, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be with me today.
Thanks for inviting me. I'm excited to be part of this and looking forward to next week.
Yes, absolutely. Aren't we all? So first off, Ryan, can you just tell us a little bit about the history of Oak Hills Country Club?
Sure. Oak Hills has hosted, I believe it's 26 Texas Opens. We've had 8 senior tour events, and we were the site of the 1987 Tour Championship, which was the inaugural Tour Championship event. And, it's a rich history of tour play here. And, we currently have 6 members of the different PGA tours that play here on a regular basis when they're in town. So even though it no longer hosts an event, it's still a place where the best players try to, keep their games in shape when they're not on the road.
And you mentioned significant amount of professional events have been played there. Why is the golf course itself such a great host for professional events?
I think, a couple of factors. One, the golf course has probably one of the best mixes of short and long, holes out there. You have many different stretches where you're going to have wedges, and then you're going to have stretches where you're hitting long irons. So you have scoring opportunities, and then you have times where you're just trying to hang on and not make a number that's going to throw you out of the round. But, the other thing too, from a spectator standpoint, the golf course is, real easy access, tee to green. It's multiple areas where a spectator could stand and see multiple shots, not very spaced out. So, it's easy to flow with the tournament. And, for those that are coming out to spectate for the event, I think they'll see what I'm talking about there with different areas where they can stand and see, tee shots, approach shots, putts, and not have to move very much.
How has Oak Hills been able to use its professional reputation to impact the San Antonio community?
I think all the years of hosting the events, the community coming out, seeing the golf course, having the players comment about how much they enjoyed the course. Back when the Texas Open was being played here, it was a non-televised tour event, but had one of the top 5 fields of the year in regards to player rankings. And, the players just really loved it. And, because of that, the community really embraced the golf course, and they still to this day. It's a special place for people when they come out as guests to get to experience that. And, it's one thing we really try to maintain is being a part of the community. We've hosted multiple events, non-professional, but events like this where, we still entertain the golfing community both locally and nationally.
Ryan, I'd love to go through just a quick course tour just so our players and spectators understand what they're getting at when they come to Oak Hills Country Club. Let's start off with holes 1 through 5. I call this stretch the nervous driver. A lot of narrow fairways, very easy to miss the short grass. Where do you expect the difficulties from tee to green to go through in this stretch of 1 through 5? I know we have a 460-yard par 4, a plus 600-yard par 5. What are the significant aspects to these first 5 holes?
The first hole is one of the best starting holes in golf, in my opinion. It's for the players, they're going to have to hit about a 250-yard tee shot to a sharp 90-degree dogleg left. Well-placed tee shot's going to give them a wedge. One thing Tillinghast did when he designed golf courses is back then most didn't have driving ranges. So the first hole was a little more generous at times for the players as they were just trying to kind of get warmed up in their round. So, number one, is all about that first tee shot, getting that, hybrid or fairway wood into play to give yourself that wedge in there. And then you'll face a mid to short iron, par 3 approach on 2. And then once you get to 3, it's 467 yards, but it plays straight downhill. So a well-placed drive is going to leave the average player with a short iron into the green, but there's severe slope from left to right with trees guarding both sides. So you really have to hit the perfect tee shot to keep that ball in the fairway. And it's the same with number 5, although it's, well over 600 yards. A long player can still reach the green in 2, but with that slope fairway from left to right, a ball getting down that right side is going to have a lot of tree trouble to work with to actually go for that green. So, really keeping that golf ball in play is going to be key on those holes. And it'll be interesting to see how many players actually try to hit the driver versus maybe hitting a fairway wood off of them to keep the ball in the fairway to give themselves a little more of a, wider part of that fairway. 4 plays straight uphill. You're going to add about probably 15 yards to your yardage into that hole. Has a couple of well-placed bunkers on the left. So depending on if it's a prevailing wind out of the south or out of the north really depends on these 5 holes because, they can play long or short based on, if they're downwind or into the wind. So it's a really good stretch there in that first 5 holes. And, well-placed tee balls, you can get off to a good start.
Moving on to holes 6 through 10, I think of this as the scoring stretch, although you mentioned the elevation change that might have a big impact, especially on 7 going straight back the way you came from 5 up the hill, playing plus 450 yards might have some difficulty, but 6 is a little bit shorter, 360, but 8 is only a 310 par 4, and 10 is a 502 par 5. Do you expect lower scores to come at the turn?
Yes, I think, 6 through 10 definitely have a lot of scoring opportunities. 7 is probably the longest playing hole on the course, playing back up the hill. It's our number 1 handicap hole on the course. So it's not only long, but the green is large and has a lot of severe slope in it. So having to hit that longer to mid iron into the green and getting it in the right areas will be key there. I don't think players are needing to think about a birdie on 7, but the rest of the holes there, 6, 360, and it's just another hole where a well-placed tee shot is going to give you a nice wedge opportunity, but a missed fairway there is going to really make the players contend with how they want to approach that second shot because it does have a creek in front, and the green has some slope in there, so missing it in the right areas will be key. So that's the one thing here is the players are going to find if you miss the fairway, you're going to be in trees, and hence the name Oak Hills. So it's very tree guarded throughout, and so 8, another hole where yes, it's drivable, but there's really well placed bunkers where an errant tee shot can leave you short sided and make it difficult to make it a birdie. So every time we've hosted events of this nature, it's kind of 50-50 on guys that just hit like 4 iron down the fairway and hit a wedge in, or guys that are ripping drivers or 3 woods trying to drive the green. And then 10, very reachable par 5, but hard dog leg right, and a drive down the right side will have trees to contend with. And the second shot does have whether you do hit the fairway in the right spot, you do have a large oak tree that will require a higher trajectory shot to go at that green. And the green runs away from you from back to front or from front to back. So it's hard to stop the ball on the green. And so definitely an eagle opportunity for players, but also an opportunity for mistakes to be made, and that's what this golf course really does. It's just staying away from the mistakes of short-siding yourself.
Moving on to 11 to 13. This is where the golf course, at least numbers-wise, gets extremely long. 450 par 4 on 11, 470 par 4 on 12, and then a 250 par 3 on 13 over water. What's the significance of these long stretches of holes?
So I call this Tilly's Run, and players that can play this stretch of holes at even par will be the players that have a chance at winning. This is definitely an area where double bogeys come into play, both with 12 having water left off the tee and 13 having water short and left of the green on a long approach shot. 11, probably one of the hardest fairways to hit. It's a blind tee shot. It goes straight downhill, and you're just looking at tree lines, and so it's very visually difficult to find the right line to hit that fairway, and so that makes it a challenge there. And depending on the wind, if the player's not able to hit it far enough, their second shot will be off of a downslope to an elevated green. So that makes it a challenging second shot there. But by far, the players that win tournaments on this golf course play 11 through 13, even par or better.
Moving on to 14 and 15, I feel like you kind of get like a small break in the action when you have a 327-yard par 4 and a 525 par 5. This is such a big contrast to the 3 holes you just played before. Do we get any eagles or birdies on 14 and 15?
Absolutely. 14, probably one of the best short holes in golf. Straight up the hill. Players can hit drivers. Some players may be able to get it all the way to the green based on the wind, but playing up the hill, it's going to play about 340. But hitting driver, having that 40, 50-yard shot in, you can't see the green surface. You're just going to see the flagstick. So very difficult to judge that wedge distance. And the green has, a lot of subtle slope from back to front, making, putts from above the hole, a lot of speed. And then, being pin high, having a lot of break. Moving left to right or right to left based on where you're at. 15, definitely eagle hole. Tee shot's critical here. Kind of a slight dogleg right in the way the hole's shaped. It's difficult for the player to, have that cut line to hit that fairway. But if they can hit it down the right side of the fairway, catch that speed slot, there will be a lot of players having, mid to short irons into that hole, for their second shot and giving themselves for a chance at eagle.
To finish off, there are 2 dramatic dog legs in 16 and 17, and then a medium to long par 3 to finish off. What was the significance of this radical finish?
It's the really 14 through 18. A player has the opportunity to, we call that the alley, and player really has an opportunity to finish strong with birdies on these last 5 holes. It's well-placed tee shots. 16 players are going to have an opportunity to either try to cut a driver over a bunker, but a ball that stays straight goes through the fairway and gets blocked out by trees. So it's a difficult tee shot. And, if you're going to hit the 250-yard shot off the tee, the fairway has a lot of slope from right to left with some severe fairway bunkers on the left-hand side, which if you get in, will be a layup for your second shot. So, 16 is all about that well-placed tee shot. Once again, you have an uphill approach shot where you're unable to see the green surface. So yardages in do play more difficult to, get the right yardage. 17 is a great hole. It's a dogleg left. We have about a 200-year-old oak tree at the corner that's giant. Long players can fly that tree and have a very short second shot in, but a ball that goes too far left trying to cut the corner will make it virtually impossible to hit the green. So, the smart play is hitting it out to the right and leaving yourself a wedge shot in. It'll be interesting to see players that play smart versus trying to go for it, how that pays off. And then 18 is a great finishing par 3, going to play in the 200-yard range, plays downhill. But based on where the whole location is, I mean, it's a small, narrow green that kind of slants from left to right and well guarded by bunkers. So it's going to be an accurate tee shot required there to give yourself a birdie opportunity there. But it's a beautiful finishing hole, and I think the players will really enjoy having that par 3 as a finish.
One last quick question for you, Ryan. Thank you again for taking your time today. With the conditions of the course and the weather you expect in the upcoming weeks, what do you expect the winning score to be in this 3-day 54-hole event?
I'm thinking somebody's going to get to 9 or 10 under. Could be lower than that, but I'm predicting 9 or 10 under as the winning score. And but I know how good these players are now, and I see them all the time. I have a lot of collegiate players here and see the scores that they shoot. But we've hosted enough tournament golf that I feel confident that I think a player shooting 3 under each day is going to have a very good chance at winning this tournament.
Well, it sounds good, Ryan, and we'll look forward to seeing you in a few weeks. Thank you again for taking your time out of your day to talk with me, and we'll see you in 2 weeks at Oak Hills.
We're looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.